ultra long haul flights are very inefficient to operate. Of course, longer flights take more fuel. That's obvious. But longer flights take disproportionately more fuel. For example, a 2,000 nautical mile flight on a Boeing 777 takes about 57,000 pounds of fuel. An 8,000 nautical mile flight on the same aircraft takes about 257,600 pounds of fuel. This means that almost 30,000 extra pounds of fuel are used on an 8,000 nautical mile flight than a 2,000 mile flight times 4. With an average fuel price of $2.10 per gallon, the airline can save almost $10,000 by stopping 3 times on an 8,000 nautical mile journey. Well, this does seem a little counterintuitive. How does stopping 3 times save money? Isn't that 4 takeoffs instead of 1? Well, the simple answer is that it takes fuel to carry fuel. Flying is a very weight-sensitive task, meaning a small increase in weight adds a noticeable cost to the airline. This is why airlines charge overweight fees and charge for checked-in baggage, because the extra weight does add up and cost the airline in fuel. This is why airlines replace thick, heavy seats with slimline, lighter ones, and also replace metal cutlery and glasses with plastic cups and plastic cutlery. Yes, even the small difference of weight between a plastic spoon and a metal spoon does make a noticeable difference to cost savings for the airline. Now, back to fuel. The more fuel that is loaded on an airplane, the higher the average fuel burn is. This is because fuel is a very dense product. 1 gallon of fuel is approximately 6 to 7 pounds, meaning adding extra fuel on an airplane increases the average fuel burn. Fuel is also one of the biggest expenses to an airline, so airlines do their best in decreasing fuel costs so they can decrease overall expense. This is why, even though airlines always carry extra fuel for safety, they never fuel up for multiple flights, rather, they fuel up every time they are on the ground. Here is a chart of the fuel usage for the Boeing 777. Keep in mind the exact numbers vary by aircraft, but the general shape of the chart is same across all airplanes. Now, let me explain this chart. Even if you haven't flown 1 mile, there's still a very high fuel burn as it takes a lot of fuel to take off. Planes are very heavy and it does take a lot of fuel to bring them to the sky, so therefore at the beginning of the chart, you see a high average fuel burn. Keep in mind, this is the average fuel burn for the total distance. For example, for a 2,000 mile flight, the average fuel burn is 28.5 pounds per nautical mile, and for a 6,000 mile flight, the average fuel burn is 30.5 pounds per nautical mile. The next phase, 1,000 to 2,000 miles on the Boeing 777, like I said, for other aircraft it varies, is the phase where the initial fuel for takeoff is being offsetted. So from 1,000 to 2,000 miles, as you can see on the chart, the average fuel burn is decreasing, as once you fly more miles, the original takeoff weight is offset. And now we bring you to the 2,000 to 3,000 nautical mile mark. So this is the most efficient distance to fly a 777, as you can see, this is when the average fuel burn is lowest at 28.5 pounds per nautical mile. This is the case because this is the point where the takeoff fuel needed is offset, and at the same time, distance isn't too high, where we are at the point where it takes more fuel to carry extra fuel. And at the 3,000 nautical mile mark, you can see the steady rate of increase for the average fuel. And that 3,000 nautical mile mark for the Boeing 777 is where you start to see the average fuel burn increases steadily because you start seeing the effect of the carrying of extra fuel. So this doesn't mean at the 2,000 mile mark, the least fuel is used on an 8,000 mile flight, because after all, on a long flight, more fuel is used at the beginning, as throughout the flight progresses, fuel is burned, meaning the landing weight of an aircraft is always less than the takeoff weight, and it is even significantly less on an ultra long haul flight. This is why there are no direct flights between Hawaii and Europe. It's simply cheaper for the airline, meaning cheaper fares for the consumer, to have a stop somewhere in the United States. On the other hand, for flights such as New York to Dubai, there is so much premium demand that the people sitting at the front of the plane will pay the extra fuel prices. At the end of the day, economics plays a bigger role in long flights than the actual range of planes. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and see you in my next one. Bye.